Okay, so let's talk about another film that you and I have
Sure.
been out pounding the sidewalk, giving love
Mhm.
and praise for. I know AJ turned you on to it, and that would be
Yeah.
Del Toro's Pinocchio is a home run.
Oh my
Like
God.
I can't
Yeah.
believe, like I've been blown away. So talk about what is your reaction when you're watching this? Because AJ will prop up all sorts of animation. Like he throws more at
So
me than I could even handle.
yeah.
But yeah, so when he starts plugging something like Pinocchio, I was like, oh, cool.
Yeah, it was weird because that's the guy that doesn't like anything, and so he's like, "I really like Pinocchio," and I was like, "I mean, I guess like I really don't care about this little wooden doll." And then I heard what Disney did to the live action of theirs. Like, I don't know if
Oh
I
my
want to go through
gosh.
that again. And so, I did research on it months ago, and it's like, well, hey, there's the straight up Italian version. There's the lady with the blue hair. Literally, she just has blue hair. She's not
Mhm.
anything other than that. You know, it's not like Pinocchio is really childlike. He's kind of impish and very impulsive and wants to get his own way. So I said, I guess I will say I called AJ within 10 minutes and told him how mad I was at him. He was generally concerned. He's like, "Well, what'd I do?" I said, "You didn't tell me it was going to hit me this hard in 10 minutes, sir." I
Mhm.
wasn't expecting all this to happen. I heard about Geppetto having a son. I didn't know they were going to put him in this one. And now you're telling me within the first 10 minutes, I have to deal with everything that winds up happening to Geppetto within 10 minutes. Why would you do this to me on a Friday? My wife and I are trying to relax, and then you hit me with this historical
He
drama.
if you haven't seen the most recent episode of their Saturday show, which
Yeah.
is Heroes No Capes, he admits that he was crying. He was crying. Now AJ
It's
didn't know
that
he was
was
crying, but
I
he was
was
crying. And it does.
I
This movie doesn't waste any time of grabbing
it
hold of your heart
doesn't.
and making you a little wussy boy. It's
It,
so intensely good. It's so
it
good.
is. I mean, they're very. For people that didn't watch the stream on Saturday, I said it was a lot like as an adult watching Avatar: The Last Airbender. You're thinking, what am I gonna gain from watching a cartoon or something that's not obviously in the styling of real life or live action? But you're like, well, hey, it's historical because they cover World War I, which I'd completely forgotten about until I
Mhm.
heard the planes flying over Italy. I was like, oh my god, it's World War I. It is. So you learn about family and also friends being the family that you choose. There's grief, there's responsibility, there's how you'd react as a father if you had a child early in life as opposed to late in life. There's consequences, survivor's remorse, your duty to your country as opposed to your duty to being true to yourself. It just hit you with multiple aspects of life that,
Tragedy of war,
yeah,
facing, looking death in the face, dealing with mortality,
yes,
dealing with just massive amounts of, and you said grief, but grief really doesn't even cut it because it's really about
no,
loss in like
yeah.
multiple ways and multiple perspectives. Uh, the fact that Pinocchio is not in the top 10 best pictures is so criminal.
That's
I
awful. Yeah.
cannot, I don't understand. I watched, so for those of you who don't know, there's this film called Triangle of Sadness. And like out of the blue, Triangle of
Yeah.
Sadness got a best picture and a
No.
best director nod.
No.
And I
No.
suffered through this film today, and I
I
get it. I get it. I get it. It's a dark, dark black comedy that will appeal to their sensibilities.
right.
I'll record a review,
Okay.
uh, but it would not be a film that I'm watching again. I can't.
Yeah.
I would never. This movie plods along, and I get it. Like we're gonna, because comedy is dead, right? Can we all agree comedy is dead? R.I.P. Hashtag R.I.P. comedy.
Yeah.
Um, comedy is now like things that we do or say that are at the expense of others.
Others.
That's a
Yeah.
gag,
So
right?
I
It's like,
was
yeah.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I was talking to Justin Ice about that too, because he was saying, it used to be we had our own version of comedy to where you would laugh with the comedian, and now it's
Mhm.
just you getting berated by the comedy, and you're supposed to find it funny. It's like, well, who's gonna sit there and who's gonna sit there and be made fun of or talked
Mhm.
about for an hour and a half, 2 hours? Why would I do this when I can watch something that's gonna be either uplifting like we're talking about or actually funny for the sake of being funny? So yeah,
Mhm.
you're right. RIP
Mhm.
comedy.
It is. It's completely been dead, and my wife is actually one that kind of got me down this rabbit hole of the thought process because on my Voodoo account, which is where I have most of my digital stuff. So if we're gonna watch
Mhm.
something digitally, and I'll
Okay.
sort, and I would sort comedy. I'd filter
Okay.
comedy, and there'd be all sorts of things in there that are not comedy.
Not
I'm like, what
comedy.
is happening? Like, I don't understand.
Yeah.
And I recently just did the review of A Man Called Otto. I obviously this
Yeah.
Triangle of Sadness,
Mhm.
and there's comedy is the label, and I'm like,
That's not comedy.
what is the
No.
comedy? What is the? There are no
That's funny.
gags. The comedy is at someone else's expense, or I'm doing something and I'm pointing to you. It's like you said, the audience member is the butt of the joke.
Yeah.
And it's like, at what point do you become frustrated where I don't need this? And
No.
Pinocchio made an animated kids movie,
Yeah.
but it's for adults.
Yes.
It's so next level. I don't even
Yes.
know what to say. Like, this movie, I don't even know how far back I'd have to go to best animated film of all time. Like, this is so good.
Oof.
It's on that scale of, like, I know AJ's going to hate me, but Beauty and the Beast is this almost perfect film. Like, it's just,
Yes.
when it came
Oh,
out,
yeah.
I was like, did I watch a cartoon? Like, I remember watching this and was like, did I watch a cartoon? This
Yeah.
is, holy crap. I watched a fairy tale come to life on screen. I didn't even
Yes.
think this was possible.
Yes.
So yeah, there's a handful of these things that are so elite and special. And
Yeah.
Pinocchio somehow skipped the line and snuck in. And it seems like
Yeah.
most of the world hasn't noticed because it's on Netflix, I
No.
guess. No one wants to give Netflix credit. I don't know.
I don't know. It blew me away. I would say, for me, it's like, oh, hey, perfect animated movies. Number one's Little Mermaid, two is Beauty and the Beast, and like three is gonna have to be. I have to throw Pinocchio in there. Even though it's technically not animated, but I mean, you can watch that with your son or daughter, at least at the age of maybe 7, 8, or 9, and they kind of understand those aspects of things, which is very hard to get within a generation gap to merge the children with the adult, and so both of us can watch it, both of us can kind of understand what's going on. And you explain these really high concepts that even adults can have a trouble grasping through the mind of a child. And I like the fact that they made it so where he's still a real boy. You know what I mean? Even though it's still Pinocchio. I like that concept of things. It's like, hey, even if I gave you mortality, what would you do with it? And again, the theme is kind of death, grief, and loss on there, and so they make it a recurring theme. I was just surprised that he did the salute so many times and no one said anything about it. I was like,
there are so many things that he did
yes,
that were so based. I felt like, is he trying to tick them off? And that was why they don't like it. I feel like he was like, even the inclusion of Mussolini and the way it was handled, I felt like it was his way of thumbing his nose at people who liken this belief system.
Yes.
And I was like, man, this is deep.
Well, I was going to say, technically he told you what a joke propaganda is. So I thought you would get on that hype train. It's like, well, hey, this is what propaganda does to you. It's like, well, hey, this kid's playing soldier. Meanwhile, people are actually going out getting killed. And then you're trying to make fun of Mussolini too. So I thought I would kind of work with that crowd. He's saying, well, hey, this is actually, historically accurate. I feel bad because Mussolini is like an inch taller than I am, and they made him so short. I was so mad. I was like, give my man at least look of average height. Let it give me.
He's definitely a caricature. Like, I definitely got that they play up the caricature part, but they made him. It was kind of like what All Quiet on the Western Front's going for, right? It's like showing you the horrors of war and the leaders that are sort of like, we'll make these decisions with complete disregard for life. And it was handled in it. And we do call it animated because you are bringing, the inanimate to life through stop motion versus like drawings and cells and things.
I'm Ross. All I do is chill. My life is a thrill.